Welcome to the Paradigm Shift Microshow, your microdose of low-code news, hot takes, and dev-flavored entertainment. No fluff, just the good stuff. All the time it takes to build a microflow. Let's get into it. Joining me today, I have some of the usual suspects. First up, he codes like he plays cards. Aggressive, fast, and occasionally bluffing his way through a demo. He's new to the team, but already on thin ice. It's Neil Hones, baby.
Hi, everyone.
And straight from the Rocky Mountains and powered entirely by black coffee and bad music tastes. From the land of altitude and attitude, it's Scott Perkins.
Sounds about right. Yep. Hello, everyone.
So welcome to the show, everybody. You may have gotten a hint from the past micro shows, but these intros are progressively getting more and more ridiculous, and that is on purpose. I just have ChatGPT come up with whatever does not make sense, but still sounds funny. But this week I thought was good. You guys liked your intros?
Sure.
Solid.
Sure. More accurate than I think the last one. I don't give off 70s dad vibes. Come on, man.
Yeah. The sexy 70s dad vibes, I think that was my favorite so far. It's more of a Stash Scott intro, I'll admit. But anyway, I am running on probably 2 hours of sleep. I am sick, so we'll see where this show goes. But first, for everybody listening, some things that I don't want to forget. We are organizing 2 events coming up in July. I will link this in the show description. But in July, we have a meetup in Denver, Colorado. We're doing that Friday, July 18th. We're doing a Mendix meetup there. It's going to be AI all the way. It'll be really cool. We hope to see you there. Again, I'll post the link in the show description. The second one, which is the big one, the big boy, coming up in October, we're organizing the U.S. host event for the Mendix Capture the Flag event. It's a global event. It's going to be the biggest Mendix event of the year. Dare I say, the biggest Mendix event since Mendix World. It's going to be a ton of fun. Registrations are open. Go to mendix.com/CTF or Capture the Flag to register. Start registering now. We got a long ways to go till October. We have a bunch of things to announce about our event. It's a global event. We're so far the only location in the U.S. where you can show up in person. It is also a hybrid event, so you can participate online. However, I would really encourage you to show up to our Hollywood event in person. There's going to be some special things to do. There'll be some special giveaways. There'll be nice perks to showing up, and we'd love to see you. So please get registered now, and we'll see you there. So don't forget that. This week, this micro show, we got another daily double, another double release. Mendix released yesterday 10.23 and 11 beta 2. We skipped over. I didn't do a show on 10.22. It was mostly just some optimizations, but 10.23 is packed with some new features, as is 11 beta 2. And I think, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, there's going to be one more regular release for 10, one more minor release, 10.24, and then that'll be it before 11 GA. But let's go through these releases and see what we like and what we don't. So we got some more AI stuff. It looks like they have extended Maya for pages. You can use natural language to just edit pages now. They've already released in the last beta, or was it the release before that, where you can generate pages via Maya, and now you can edit pages. So they're extending the capability. And bluntly, it was Maya for generating pages has been fairly basic, fairly limited. So it's nice to see that they are extending that a bit. You can do some smarter things. It can, reorganize things, relabel things, I think is one of their examples. Yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, it looks like a
Yeah, go
lot of
ahead,
the
Neil.
changes were one of the big ones was for workflows too. I know this is a little bit different. Might be getting on to the next topic a little too quickly here. Sorry. Um, but yeah, I think it's a nice to have. Again, it seems again like a prototyping tool. It doesn't
Hmm.
seem like, something developers who are in there, editing a huge page with maybe lots of containers and you know, pieces built in are going to rely on something like this. But again, it's um, for the prototyping purposes, it's just one more piece where, you can just do some prompt engineering and you can have business people, maybe even, when generating a story can go in here and just create a generic page off of some, generic entity that they have AI create. And now we've got a mock-up of not just a page, but a Mendix built page that the developer can.
Yeah, and I want to correct myself. I think I said this was for 11. This is actually in 1023 for the editing of the pages. But I just want to echo your sentiments. I think you're exactly right. So Maya, the page generation, I wasn't really going to save me any time yet. So it's nice that it's getting there. It's just because, like, okay, how long does it take to make like a basic page, which is all really Maya was capable of doing thus far. When you just, because right now just the Studio Pro will automatically put all the attributes on the page anyway, so it's like it probably just a kind of one to one, not much saving time, but I think this extends that, and I actually can see how this can start to save me some time with my page generations or modifications. They gave that example of like editing labels, especially like if you need to do anything in mass. That's where AI really comes in handy. So editing pages when you chained one thing and you need to update labels or something, like, oh, we went back and we changed this attribute name to be just a little bit more user readable. Now I had to go through all my pages and do that, or you could just ask Maya. So great feature there.
It
And
looks like it's going to do styling as well. I'm curious on how it plans to accomplish that. I know in their example they mentioned buttons that you can ask for different colors. I'm wondering, is that, are they going to pull from the um button type rendering where it's, the danger,
mhm,
success, primary,
good, yeah.
inverse, or is it going to be, you know, just a hex code for the color that they just put in the style section?
Yeah, I actually, I wonder about that too. Like, I wonder if you could just say, "Hey, give me sky blue" or something like that. If it just do it, or if it'll. I'm guessing it'll just say does not compute, but hopeful that it could just do whatever. And you mentioned also the other Maya feature release, Maya for workflows, so generating a workflow based on an image or a prompt. I was really first. I'm not going to discount that. I'll get into that in a second. But I was really hopeful for like the big missing piece for Maya, which is like microflows. It's what I've been waiting on. I I think probably everybody's waiting on it, and they're kind of just like teasing it out. I can't imagine it's not going to be in 11, so I bet it's going to maybe come with GA or the next release. But so I was a little disappointed that they didn't do that. But Maya for workflows and for pages, still great additions. Do you guys have any thoughts?
I think would be interesting. I haven't used workflows honestly all that much. So that's something that I will definitely dig into with this release. But I'm wondering, like, like when it says that you can use that image as a prompt, could you put like a, say, a workflow
Mm-hmm.
diagram in there, and will it generate a Mendix workflow from your workflow diagram that you have, like say in Visio or something? That would be pretty interesting. Excited to try it out. Be interesting to see what it does.
So apparently you are allowed to just include a design or just a drawing. So if you've got, the business process sort of model notation or the model, you should be able to just plug that in and get returned a, pretty solid result based on the drawing. But yeah, I feel like what determines if it's a success or not is really in the details. So it's hard to say without really giving it a go.
Outside of the Maya AI enhancements, they have user selections available for view entities. I played around with view entities a little bit. Another one of our developers has also done it quite a bit. This is, I'm sure, a welcome addition to view entities. So, and in summary, it's that you can specify the user. So if your queries are ever pointed to, say, the current user token, and you can specify, okay, this is for MX admin or this is so and so user. Just makes it a little bit smarter.
Yeah, it seems great.
And I really like view entities, by the way. I'm sure everybody does.
Yeah, it just makes if you have to aggregate or roll up data, or I mean, I remember quite a few projects where I worked on stuff where you would have to retrieve a list of a handful of different entities and then do some data matching and aggregating, and then you create a separate entity to hold like your result, and then that's what you'd put on the page. Now what's nice is you can just do all of that in your uentity query. So I think it definitely, you could still write OQL in the past in Mendix, but it just makes it so much more straightforward, and feels like it's more baked in than it used to be with the OQL module.
Yep. Oh yeah. Next up, now they allow you to use page parameters for input widgets and snippets. So I think what this means is you could just carry on. You don't have to put in a view. You don't have to put in a data view. I could just, if I have a parameter of a, say, user, I could just drop name on the page. I don't have to drop a data view in there. I think that's, if I'm reading that right,
That's what
you guys see that too?
It says page parameters, and I think so the first release that they had is you could use primitive values in page parameters, right?
Yeah,
so strings,
right.
Integers.
Yeah.
Now it sounds like you can not only use them as page parameters, but now you can connect them to input widgets. So you could have just a string that you're passing to the page and have that be in the in an input widget. So that sounds pretty interesting. I'm trying to think of where exactly I would use something like this, but I know that I've definitely come across scenarios where you have to end up building a helper entity just to hold some of the pieces of data like that. Yeah. So I think it's they're all. Yeah, I think it's definitely a feature that'll help for more flexible development. Yeah, I'm a fan.
I'm struggling to see what the big change is, because in some of the documentation, it looks like you're setting the value of the input widget to the page parameter attribute, right? So is the only change, hey, you no longer need to specify a data view where you say the data view is coming from this parameter? So we've just kind of removed one kind of wrapping object.
I think so. Nothing to lose your mind over, but a small little shortcut, little enhancement. And so what else? So they've done some data and integration things. So you can run anonymous blocks, and I might just breeze through a couple of these. Run anonymous blocks in Postgres, SQL, Oracle, and SQL Server. They have a data loader for snowflakes, so supports associations via OData for easier replication. And the Gen AI connector update, where you can specify which tools to use in function calls for. And stop me at any time if you're particularly interested in any of these, if you have some strong opinions, guys. But for APIs and technical enhancements, so they have a new client API update. So the get CSRF token available in REST security, the improved Java API, so you can open pages with multiple parameters and the OData Open API update, which was upgraded to version 3.0.4. And I think
that's a
go
good
ahead,
one.
Scott.
Well, I don't know if you guys have ever worked with the built-in REST documentation that was based on the old Swagger spec, but it only worked out of the box with basic authentication, I think. And so if you had a service that you had built that used OAuth, for example, like there was no way to try it out in the baked-in REST documentation, which was always a huge headache. So yeah, that's a pretty awesome update, actually. I'm excited about it. I mean, I think as far as sharing documentation for the REST services that your Mendix apps expose, it makes it much easier, because now you can literally, like, you can use OAuth, which is, you know, modern standard, and then you can also have the try it out button actually work, would be my assumption. So
right on, cool.
Yeah.
Some other small things, back and forward improvements, so you can use the back and forward buttons directly from your mouse buttons. That's the way I read this. I didn't know you couldn't before, but I bet they have a developer on their team that got so annoyed with this, he just did it himself so it would work. And this one's interesting. So for their widget updates, the document viewer, so in-app document preview, and this is something that we've encountered. Previewing of documents is a frequent request from our clients. Neil, does this read like it would have some benefits to what you've currently been doing?
Yes. And one of the issues that we run into is when we're trying to, open documents for our client or the users, we run into a lot of browser compatibility issues with, having them downloaded, open it in a new tab. Sometimes if, the browser settings, if they've just downloaded a document, if they download a second one, it'll just reload that previous tab that the other download had opened, right? So you're not going to end up with a new tab sometimes. And so if you can kind of avoid this and, view multiple documents in the app itself, you don't really have to have that consideration on, hey, we recommend our users are using this browser, this version, so that we can control some of the behavior. And I think in the previous marketplace widgets, for document viewers, there was some version compatibility issues. So it looks like they've addressed that, as this is a widely used feature.
Yeah, I immediately saw this and thought of you in the use case that we've been working with this and with one of our clients. This is a great ad. I'm excited about that. And then outside of that, I think that finishes up like the releases within their Studio Pro versions, but they've done some other things that they've bundled together with this, which is another AI item, which is so they have a Mendix agents kit, is a agentic kit, I think they call it, and they've added some components into that. Microflow tools and prompt iteration stuff, includes 5 agent templates like translator or summarizer. So cool stuff there. So just a bunch of things to get you going quicker, it sounds like, in their agents kit. Everybody's really focused on that, and so I'm sure everybody's going to be trying that out. And
I see, related to the AI stuff that they're releasing, they added a MCP module, which is pretty interesting.
mm-hmm.
I think MCP is like the hot topic right now. Everyone's talking about like how it's like the glue, right, for all of your different services. And so what I could see that you could, now you could get to is you have like a chat interface, sort of like, you think of like Claude or Chat GPT, and now you can say, hey, can you tell me about any new financial transactions that appeared in my, account, and that data can live in your Mendix app. The model they're running behind the chat UI can now go query your Mendix app for the data. And then, so that's the idea of like, I think it's called resources and MCP. And then you've got tools, right? And then you could say, hey, I want you to categorize these transactions or things like that. And you can specify I think microflows as tools, which is really, really interesting, really cool. So yeah, I'm excited to see that is now something you just pop into your Mendix app. I started building my own module, but obviously they beat me to it. And theirs is probably way better. So
yeah,
interesting stuff though.
And we have some other little things here. Oh, the disabling of the local MX admin user. We've done this a long time ago. We used to, I remember early in my career, that was like, I spent a couple weeks on like trying to like figure out how to disable MX admin and all these like kind of hacks. And I remember it was like, like, well, it's always going to create it automatically. Like, well, what if we delete it? It's like, well, when you restart it, it's just going to remake it, so it took us a little bit to come up with like this little like piece. And shout out to Kevin Cologne at EXP, who did something, finally had this piece of logic that was put in the after startup that always disable it guaranteed. But yeah, so this is nice.
I think they mentioned they're introducing kind of a new tag or new category for the marketplace based around some of the AI tooling. So, while it's exciting to see what Mendix is building, I'm kind of just as excited to see around the community what the kind of community-based usages and tools that other people are making. Because I think there's, just as much effort going on outside of Mendix, whether it's, kind of creating these kits or these connectors to AI. But I mean, to me, it's more exciting to see the usages of like different tools that they've connected to Mendix apps than specifically AI within Mendix itself.
I agree. And I see what people are doing. And I also agree that it's almost more exciting than what Mendix is doing themselves. Of course, you prefer to have the platform supported AI features. Probably it's just like probably just one. It's just probably the most efficient when they're doing it. But the way that people are using AI and breaking apart Studio Pro and like have it do things, like I've seen a couple people now use AI to make microflows themselves, which I thought was like, oh, sweet. They did it before Mendix did it. So it's just, yeah, it's exciting. And I'm really excited to see what people are going to come up with too, because like, Mendix is a large company, can only move so fast. It's hard to just, direct all those resources into one spot to be that agile when you're bigger. It's a lot easier for like, just like some enthusiast, some consultant or some guy that's like really into it just to do things himself. May not be production ready, but it's like, it's really cool to see what people are doing. It almost makes me also reluctant to just start doing things because I know how fast things are going and how fast people are coming up with ideas, because I feel like it might just get outdated quickly, or that Mendix is probably working on something and then they're going to release it. So it's always in the back of my mind on like, okay, where do we as Paradigms put our resources, our money, and our time, so that we know that like, okay, this is, or have confidence this is going to be something that's going to be useful for the future, or not, or Mendix is going to come up with something that's just going to make it immediately redundant, or somebody else for that matter.
Yeah, if we do come up with kind of a AI, well, I mean, we have a couple of ideas of AI tools, but whether it gets outdated shortly or Mendix creates a different, better version of a tool we're thinking of, I would still like to go through the process of building it out, partly just to help build my confidence in approaching that process, and just so that if, hey, we do, come up with some quality ideas, that's not a blocker for, executing it. So whether or not the idea works or not, for me, a big part is just kind of having the confidence and going through that process once or twice before of kind kind of generating that tool itself and kind of creating our own version of it.
I think you have to do that. Yeah, I think you have to do that. Otherwise, you're just kind of like, well, that would be a cool idea. Hopefully somebody will build it someday. It's like, no, it's like we should start building it, and if somebody else builds a better version of it, so be it. But you have to.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. Otherwise, you'll never learn. Did I miss anything, guys? Anything important? Anything that you were looking for? Do you want to say what your favorite features or released items were?
Yeah,
I'll put you on the spot.
I already touched on mine, I think, a little bit. Yeah, MCP I think is going to be awesome. I'm excited to try the MCP module out with some other things that I've been working on. Yeah, so I think that one's mine. I'm pretty excited about that.
Neil? There's an obvious one. Go ahead.
I like I'll go with something easy. Just the the updated file viewer. They showed some love there.
Damn, that was mine.
And I need to use that as soon as possible. So selfishly, I'm gonna go with that one.
Okay. Well, now I have to scramble. Let's see. Okay. I think that they did mention that Studio Pro now starts faster, consumes less memory by optimizing the handling of the starter app template images. I'll just say that's mine. I'm always aggravated. I have low patience. You get a family of 3, you get little sleep, and you're getting sick all the time like I am. Your patience gets really low. And when your Studio Pro is taking forever to start up, to run, those little optimizations make the world of difference for me. So I'm going to say that's my favorite. Not a headliner from this, but I'll take it. And that's where we'll end it. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Reminder, we got 2 events, as I mentioned in the beginning of the episode. The CTF, get registered for that. Mendix.com/CTF. Register for the CTF. You don't have to participate if you want to come, but register anyway. It's going to be a ton of fun, like I said, here in Hollywood, California in October. So register for that. And if you're in Colorado, come to our Denver meetup. It's in July.
Just want to visit Colorado. Colorado's a pretty nice time to visit this time.
There you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful state. They got plenty of hiking trails. Scott will take you out personally on a personal hike. If you fly in, Scott will show you around. He's going to take you in the Rockies somewhere and go hiking and stuff. So come visit us July 18th, Friday. We're going to do a meetup there, and it's going to be all about AI, all about testing, and we're going to show you some really cool things. So I hope to see you. And until then, until next week, sayonara. We'll see you later.
See you guys.